Hey, it's James Rosowsky from Built Prefab, based in Kelowna, British Columbia. We design, manufacture, and install premium prefab modular homes. So I'm just on our website here. I'll sort of reiterate that Built Prefab is a full service company and we do single family and multifamily. And we try to design really cool houses that are high quality, sustainable, healthy, and durable. So the purpose of this video is to take you on a tour of one of our units. And today we are going to take a look at what is known as the forest. And so right now we're looking at what we call Built World 2020. And of course, it's not exactly a world, just a neighborhood of homes that we're offering in this year. And the purpose of this little neighborhood is so that, you as a potential customer can see what the homes look like against other homes, and then obviously have some perspective on what things look like outside and inside. So we've tried to really be as detail oriented as possible with this, so that it's a fairly accurate representation of what the homes would be when you buy them. So the unit we're going to look at today is it's called the Forest, and it's a 1,442 square foot 2-module home. You can find it in our Design Catalogue, I think at around page 23. And then of course we have a full brochure with all the details and specs, but let's just go on to into the unit here. So there it is, and as you notice, it always takes the computer a few seconds to get the picture cleared up, so hopefully it's not too much of a hassle. But yeah, it's a pretty neat home because it's built in a LT shape. And what we're showing here is we did corrugated metal around the back, and then we did a vertical stained gray cedar around the front with one strip of a nice fir there. And it was just to add some contrast. You don't have to do that, but that was something we thought was cool. And then across the front, you're seeing cross-laminated timber facades sort of stained the same way as that fir. And that's something fairly unique to what we're doing. So yeah, it's a cool house, and obviously it kind of creates its own courtyard. And what we'll do is go around the back, take a look. So I think one thing to note is that this is a flat roof home, as they would call it, but if you see our blog, Common Misconceptions About Flat Roofs, you'll read that the roof's not actually flat. There's a little wall here called the parapet, and then below that is a sloped roof. And so this unit's sloping from front to back to the roof drain here, and same, it's we got a couple drains over on this side. So what I'm going to do is we're going to start by taking a look at the floor plan. So this is a good way to understand what we're going to be looking at. So we got entryway here, exit to the courtyard area. There's a half bath right when you walk in, pantry, closet, and quite a bit of room. So we identified that it's almost 10 feet wide, 9 feet wide in the entry. So, there'd be a lot of traffic through here because of the way all the rooms are configured. But, there's a good amount of space that you're not going to have any issues. And then it's sort of winged out where down one way you're going into your kitchen, dining, living room. And then the opposite is all the bedrooms and, baths. So it's 2.5 baths, and you got bedroom 1, bedroom 2, bedroom 3. Bedroom 3 is the master, and it has an ensuite. And then we'll go right through all the detail. And you've got your laundry room and a mechanical room there. So, I mean, even though this unit's only 1,442 square feet, just because of this configuration, there's a lot of available room and a lot of sort of diversity to the floor plan. So this is what we would call the cutaway. And it gives you a good perspective because it's like half the building, no roof on, but there's your entry, cut over to the kitchen, dining, and living. And then, of course, down the hall to the master bed. We're showing this one as an office, but it could obviously be a bedroom, kitchen, mechanical. We're showing bath here, and then of course the other bedroom. So just a word about this. These modules are only 14 feet wide, and we're able to build this two ways, either as 14 feet wide units, or we could take them up to 16, which would enhance the square footage. And there's more detail about that in the model guide for this unit. And I think one thing to note is that when we're dealing with a 14 wide module, we find that you're usually only going to get a single vanity in these types of configurations, whereas with the 16 wide we're able to get the double vanity. I'll show you a bit more about that later. So the next thing I'm going to do is just like go right into the house so that you can look around, and we're going to go in through the front door, of course. So here we go. Oh, one thing is I'm going to change the zoom on the camera a touch so it kind of gives us a wider lens. And there we go. So we're coming in. One note here is we've got our Cusco Nordic downlight, exterior light. You see them all on all the units. This one's shown in black, but also comes in a gray color, pewter or something. We can discuss that in your design. And so it's kind of peering through the wall where this half bath is, but regardless, that's our entryway, and the closet, of course, and the hallway. So we're gonna go on through and go right into the kitchen area to start. So and so we're coming into the kitchen, and on my right here is a pantry, of course, and then kitchen island, and dining room table, and then of course the living room. So we're going to talk a lot about kitchens yet, and I'll just show some quick views of the inside, and of course there's this clipping happening from the view, but I mean, just to sort of disregard it. It's sort of a necessary evil if I use this perspective, but it's just cool that you can kind of get in the kitchen here, look around, see what you might see looking down the room, and I mean, it's glass everywhere. So dining room, same situation, and we did add a window on the back side facing out towards the entry in the dining room. Could easily put it on the other side during your design. And then living room again. Many of the units in 2019 had a large sliding door right in the living room, but what we've done is more focused on putting a large window. So this is 8 feet wide by 5 feet high, and the advantage with that is that it allows us to have more options for your furniture. So there could be furniture against that wall, but if it's a sliding door, you kind of run out of space. So we're showing a wood burning fireplace. And I can show you very quickly in another unit the other option, which is the Regency gas fireplace. So that's it. So you could go with either or none, but this is the Regency setup where it's glass all around, and then of course a little hearth and quartz counter on it. So head back to the forest again, and get back inside. So and that's sort of the view from the opposite side of the living room. And as we go back into the unit, I'll take you to the master bedroom, which is sort of down this little hall. And because it's only 14 feet wide, I think we've got 30-inch doors, which are still reasonably wide, but obviously if we're into a 16 wide, we can do 32 or even 36-inch doors if that's something you're interested in. But no matter what, all the doors are 8 feet tall, and here's a pretty standard bedroom. So we did put a sliding door in there so you can move to the outside. Standard closet with the 8-foot doors and flush pulls, and there's a ensuite here with a shower. And it's not a very good way to view this, but at the same time, you can. We're going to show you a better perspective right away, but there you go, Cusco Bedford light. And I mean, we'll just pierce through these walls right into that office got the little closet. We're going through the back of the laundry, I guess. There's a mechanical there. Onto the other bath, and then of course the last bedroom. So, that gets you the gist of the home. And of course, we would end up configuring a lot of this house to meet your needs during the design process. And now what I'm going to do is take you through some of the details that we would sort of work on. So obviously, our process is step one: find your floor plan, the one you like the most, and then we'll talk about what could be manipulated in there to sort of enhance it for your requirements, because some things are easy to change, other things that can be more complicated. But once you've got a general floor plan, the idea is we take you to energy performance. And I know it's early in the process, but the reason why we would want to do that is that your envelope detail will affect sort of the configuration of the home. So I'll explain that here. Now, in all the designs that we've done, like for instance, that floor plan I just showed you, we're showing 8-inch thick walls, which this is roughly 8 inches, this standard sort of detail. And what it's comprised of is drywall. We've got poly barrier, and then we're going into 2x6 studs with Roxol, exterior plywood sheathing, building wrap, rain screen, and siding. So there you go. That's a standard detail around 8 inches thick. But if energy performance is a priority for you, we can also do that, and we sort of have a standard high performance detail. And I guess the point is that it gets 2 inches thicker. So because we're dealing with modules and they need to be shipped down the highway, you can't really make them bigger on the outside. Most of the time you have to bring it in on the inside, and thus affects the floor space. So in a lot of times it won't make a big deal, but if in some rooms, like, you might have to go from a double to a single vanity in order to accommodate the extra insulation, because in essence, if that wall's 8 inches thick, now we're talking about a 10-inch thick wall, and it's essentially the same detail with the drywall, air barrier, 2x6 framing, R28 Roxol, and then we got our exterior sheathing, then onto 2 inches of rigid foam, rain screen, and the rest. And the upside of this is that that details over R40 if you use the old sort of system of calculating everything. And with the roof, you're going to have quite a high level of coverage for insulation. So our standard detail is going to pretty much exceed the building code requirements in any jurisdiction in BC right now. But obviously, if performance is a priority, we would do something like this. And then as well, we would talk about, the mechanical system, the windows, air tightness, and the rest to try really enhance it. But it's sort of step 2 in the process. You go floor plan, energy performance, and then we can start talking sort of more major details. And I guess I don't want to confuse you or anything like that. So what I was going to do is go right to corner kitchens. And it's a one wall. There's a corner kitchen. So we have a range of kitchens that were designed for Built World 2020, and they fit in a lot of units. One kitchen can fit in another as long as there's space, because a lot of the dimensions are quite similar. But and what we've done is just started with a basic one. Like, so you could put something like this in the forest. It's a very basic kitchen. It has quite a small sink. Like, what do I got here? 20-inch Blanco Quattro sink with a 24-inch dishwasher, 30-inch fridge, and then you got your range and your microwave. But typically a home like this would have something a little bit more substantial. We'll be looking like something like this with a 36-inch fridge, 30-inch cooktop, which could be gas, electric, or induction. Now we're talking more along the lines of a 28-inch sink there, 30-inch Blanco Quattros. And then you'd also be looking at probably a wall oven. And so we can either do this. This scenario here is Frigidaire Professional. wall oven, single wall oven here, and then on top it's a microwave with a pull down door that looks exactly the same. So it's pretty cool that they offer that. But this would be the kind of kitchen likely that you would end up putting in there. But the word about the kitchens is that, say you said, okay, I like this kitchen, but I want some tweaks. Well, absolutely, we're going to tweak every kitchen for your requirements. We would keep it in the dimensions and the style, but we understand that everybody's got a sort of different way they might do things in the kitchen, and it's a pretty important space. So that's all part of the design process. And I mean, obviously this one's not going to fit in there as a big boy, but just to give you an idea that anything's possible. You want shelving, more tall doors or whatever. It's all doable. So and so once we've done your kitchen, the next step would be to move to baths. And again, we've sort of standardized a lot of this. And so here's an example. You could, any of your single bath options in this house, there are two of them. There's the master ensuite, and then of course the other bathroom. You could choose from either of these. So single vanity, Kuruma dual flush toilet, full tile surround with a tub, a 5-footer. That's sort of one option, but in the ensuite or maybe even in the main one, you don't want that. You just want to have a full shower. Well, no problem. We'll deal with that in the design. Obviously, be selecting your finishes as well. But it's quite straightforward because we have a range of options. If we get into a sort of the 16 wide, of course, we can start talking about double vanity or even, double vanity with shower. Of course, in the half bath, we've got a design that's sort of right along the same lines. So you've got your Cusco light and aqua brass accessories. And, I mean, it's a half bath. So, yeah, and I mean, there are even more options, obviously, but, and if you wanted to modify that home to make it 2 bedrooms or something, you could even throw in, a big bathroom like this one where you've got a huge master bath, like whatever, empty nesters or something who only want a second bedroom, but they'd rather have this big bath with a dual vanity and a tub and everything. We work through that in your design. So once we're done with baths, the next step is to talk about closets and millwork. And I guess we kind of have a standard detail, which is the closet with 8-foot doors, 1 3/4 inch full slab with flush pulls, and these get detailed sort of per your requirement or the room. So they could be anywhere from 5 feet wide all the way up to, actually we have a 12-footer that we designed, and they come with on the inside a shelf and a rod. So we will work through that. And then of course your option is to go to something different, which would be that idea of a built-in cabinet, which is shown here. I have a hard time scrolling to it. So we can also detail these as many as you want across the house. And, built-in millwork is sweet because it saves you a ton of space. And of course, it's very cool when you see it in a house. But of course, it is more money, but it's all a matter of what your budget and requirements are. So, yeah, the next thing we would do from there is work through your laundry, which we got a whole bunch of laundry rooms that we put together. So, I mean, the most basic is, of course, this little guy with 1 cabinet and a 20-inch sink. So again, that's the Blanco Quattro sink, and we'd put the aqua brass faucet in there. And then, you could do it with like a 30-inch sink, or maybe stick with the 20 and then and have 2 cabinets. It's all a matter of space, and then of course your preference. Like some people love to have a really nice laundry room, and other people it's not such a priority. So if there's space, I mean, we can get into big laundry rooms like this sort of situation, or even bigger, and obviously we would detail that as a part of your design process. So finally, going back to that unit, or not finally, I guess pretty close to finally, we'd be working through your lighting plan, and I'm going to just take you to the unit so you have some idea of what kind of options are available. And of course, like we're seeing the Cusco Nordic light sort of beside all the windows, and then on the interior, there's a Dell 6-inch ceiling light. We've got the Cusco vanity light, and we would sort of work through your lighting requirements based on a lot of different things, or we could just use a standard plan. There's the Cusco linear pendant, and typically I would be showing tube lighting over the dining room, and I guess if I sort of pop into another house, I could give you a little perspective on what it should look like. Yeah, so you could have tube lighting underneath, but you see all the units we sort of outfitted them the same way so that there's some consistency. But we would work through this in the design phase, and then of course we've got a few other lighting options, and then of course the Axis ceiling fan, and we can have it with a light or without a light. It's Nest compatible. It's pretty cool. And so yeah, let's just see here. Now the last thing that we would end up doing in your design is to sort of choose your exterior. And I mean, there's sort of like part one is the fundamental design of your exterior, which is, what's your roof line? And so, we show in most of the units this sort of flat roof idea with these facades. And I guess I would call that like option one. Now, another thing to do is you can do quite easy overhangs in some of the directions like this. It's sort of like an option too. You want to take some of those ends and extrude them some degree. Well, that's not a big deal. So that's showing on the mountain. And then of course the third option is what we would be showing over on this other little guy. Just let me take you to it, called the spring. Oh, give me 1 second. And wrong one. There we go. Went to the cutaway. Yeah, so this is like a cross-laminated timber roof. And of course, those three things are quite different if you want them. The simplest is the one we're showing on the forest with the flat roof. Like that unit comes in, you tie it together, you finish the roofing, and it's fairly straightforward. Even the one we showed, option 2. This one, option 3, is more complicated, whereas the unit arrives and then this roof would have to be placed on site. However, it definitely has a great look to it, and the advantage is that you can have quite a bit of cover quite easily. So, depending on what your site requirements are, your budget and everything, we would sort of try to figure out how to handle the part one, I guess, of the roof, of the exterior. So that's your roof options. And then, part two is really the siding. And I guess, like, to take you through it, one of the options is we're offering dark gray corrugated metal, which is shown all the way around here. And I guess I can show you another unit where we've used our light gray corrugated, so be like option 2. And I mean, we could either do that with a light gray trim or a dark gray trim. It'd be your preference. And then of course, so those are your metal options. Then of course on the wood side we would have a horizontal fir, which is kind of shown here, and even a little bit on that other unit. Or we go with what's shown on the forest, as well as the vertical cedar. So the only other possibility is of course some of this, which would be composite panel of some kind of architectural panel, like hardy or otherwise, depending on what we're doing. And I mean, that again is all part of the design process, and we would suit these buildings to your needs again. And there are many reasons why you would change the exteriors, of course, because you have issues like maintenance. If you don't want maintenance, then metal is a great option as well. If you're concerned about fire prevention, well, then it's really a great option. But the look of wood, nothing's better. So it's really something that's a matter of taste, and then of course budget as well. So in essence, that's the home, and like a unit like this one, the process is basically you get their design done, and then we would pick all your finishes and everything, and then after that you get into a production agreement. We would build it and then bring it to site, and an install on something like this is going to be maybe 2 to 3 weeks maximum. There's very little work left to do. But the downside of our new process in Built World 2020 is that there are more options, which is great, but just chucking out standard pricing is a lot harder. So if you said you wanted to build one of these, pretty much we could be looking at after permit, probably in the range of 20 weeks for delivery, and then maybe 3 weeks of install. So, less than 6 months, you would have this house from when you got your permit. Now, the other things are, if you're ready when you own land, you like the units, and you have the money to fund the project. So, that's really the main considerations. So that's sort of the end of the tour. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, a little bit I did, I guess, was the windows. And obviously, this is our standard window detail for this unit, but we can manipulate this a bit for your requirements. And so we're available really at any time to do a virtual tour like this for you. If you'd like to do a screen share or come down and see us, we could easily do that as well. And we can do it for any of the models. And as well, if you did a design with us, we would be doing the same thing for your design, so that you'd really have a great understanding. And if, you're going to build a house and you're not using 3D, you're really giving something away, because obviously it's about the best way to know what's going to happen. So yeah, again, it was James Rosowsky from Built Prefab. I'm happy to have kept this under half an hour, and I'm very highly appreciative if you made it all the way to the end. And check out any of the other videos we made. And for more information, just go to www.builtprefab.com or email us at info@builtprefab.com. Have a great day.